While Longbow had informed me that the lift down to level 3 was working, as I looked at the control panel that Lemon apparently sabotaged, I wondered just how someone who was dying could do so much damage with so little time. What was left of the arcane control board was shattered into tiny shards, while the wiring was corroded into nothingness, or had been violently stripped. I don't say this ever, but I think this panel is out of my league. I dropped the electronic scraps and face-hoofed. I'm sorry, but it looks like we're going down the hole. Are you serious? Sky said with a tone of bemusement. You finally met your mechanical match? Well, I could fix it if you wanted, although I thought you'd want to leave before next week. I smirked and turned back to the elevator. My mistake. I'll get working on it right away. The goddess does not have the patience for your joking. Her voice resonated in my mind. We will lower you down forcefully if necessary. The sneaking of the cable down the hallway and wrapped around me tightly, dragging me towards the hole. I didn't even struggle as my hooves slid across the floor, feeling weightless for only a moment before grunting as they touched the solid floor below. I looked around to make sure there were no cracks or holes under me to the next level. The cable rose back through the hole, before Carlotta and Sky dipped through it again. I was looking at an odd piece of equipment in the corner of the room. Walking over to it, I looked at it more closely. A set of 6 copper tubes were arranged in what looked like a minigun fashion, but had the refocusing crystal of an energy weapon placed like a cone at the end, surrounded by spell amplifiers. A set of silver rings ran between a set of electromagnets in the center, drawing spell power from several large cables that were hooked into a ceiling junction. Its spell control boards were highly intricate. Red wiring linked them together, and a single black wire ran into a box with a stealth buck inside of it. Backlash, how's the radiation down there? Sky called over to me, breaking me from my curiosity. You know, on your pip buck? I looked down at it and turned on the volume, and the Geiger came up, listening as it made a soft clicking sound every few seconds. I wouldn't want to stay down here overnight, but it seems safe enough. Finally! Carlotta blurted out. Radaway tastes like shit. They really should have designed it to be some sort of fucking flavor to it. They did. It's supposed to be orange, I said slowly, looking over at her with a small frown. At least, that's what it tastes like to me. A look of genuine shock spread over Carlotta's face as Sky chuckled. Are you serious? It tastes nothing like that! She crossed her talons and sat back down. Fucking ponies and their weird fucking tastes. They should have just made it meat-flavored. At least then it would have been slightly enjoyable. Longbow dropped through the hole slowly, levitating her helmet off with a hiss as she moved away from the radiation. This is the most disgusting thing I've ever heard. I went back to looking over the machine. It didn't make sense to me. With this configuration of components, my best guess was that it was supposed to be some sort of spell amplifier, and the attached stealth buck was probably the spell it was supposed to amplify. My head started to pound through the medics as I tried to figure out things that were way too complicated for even the pre-war ponies working here. Well, no pony asked you, Steel Cheeks, Carlotta said as she hovered up and drifted towards the open door next to the rest of the floor. She poked her head around the corner and looked about as Brass was slowly lowered in. She sighed and sat against the wall next to the door. How much further to our other stupid terminal? Well, the server should be on the 5th floor, Brass said as he removed his helmet as well, his eyes glowing softly in the darkness. The radiation it soaked up had made him slightly bigger than he was before, supercharging his ghoul-ness. Ah, here we go! Brass strode up to an open junction box on the wall, coating all the breaker switches in his magic. Brass! Wait! Longbow called in vain as he flipped all the switches on. There was a high-pitched whine as the lights flickered on, and the door next to Carlotta slammed shut. The odd device I was standing next to made a whining noise, and glowed brightly before it shot a wire-thin blue beam across the room. We all instinctively covered our ears with our hooves, as the goddess let out a blood-curdling scream of agony, her voice clawing into my mind sharply. I yelled and smashed blindly at the device with my hooves. Watching it shut down, my hooves snapped the stealth book inside the connection port. What the hell was that? I yelled as the ringing in my ears subsided. Hello? A voice called from across the room. I swung my gaze to look, but knew what I saw was impossible. Standing under the hole was a shimmering outline of our Alicorn escort. But for lack of better words, she looked like a ghost. The expression she wore was not that of the goddess, but of of a pony with great confusion and fear. Where am I? What's going on? The rest of my compatriots stood motionless as they stared at the odd sight before them. Who are you? What are you? I managed to spit out. The ghost looked itself over slowly, growing panicked when she saw that she was not solid. Then again, when she saw her wings. I don't know what's going on. Why am I like this? She shook in fear and shrank to the ground. Why am I a monster? As I would have said before Brass turned the power back on, when we came down here before, they were doing some odd experiments with invisibility spells. As far as we could tell, this machine was supposed to combine the invisibility spell of a stealth buck with a molecular reorganization magic that the old crystal ponies were subjected to inside their city. Longbow said as she walked around the translucent alicorn. The invisibility spell she was using must have a resonant frequency and caused a cascading feedback loop of inversed arcane energies. Fascinating. Carlotta spoke up before I had the chance. Her voice strained to convey the amount of frustration she had. Please, for the love of Celestia, can somebody just speak simple for once? I don't know what's going on. I just want to go home. The Alicorn ghost said softly. The sorrow in her voice was unbelievable. I didn't think the goddess was there at all anymore. Hey, don't worry, Sky said softly as she floated over. What is your name? I'm Will-O-Wisp. Who are you, ponies? She spoke sadly. Well, I'm Skyline, and that's my brother Backlash, and these are our friends. She spoke with a soft smile. You said you wanted to go home. Where is that? I live in Ponyville. Or used to, I guess. Where am I? She spoke slowly. The mention of Ponyville bored deep into my mind, feeling as if they had drilled into my heart, letting the regret and faces of each of its 28 murdered citizens sink deeper into me. I sat down hard and let my gaze drop to the floor, thinking about how Pallet was probably feeling more scared and alone than Will-O-Wisp seemingly felt. Carlotta jumped into the air and sped over to me, grabbing my head in her talons and painfully twisting it towards the wall behind me. My compass showed 6 red bars that were slowly moving around towards us. Fuck! We've got company! I cried out as the door Carlotta had been near opened up. The silver form of a Ponitron stepped through it. The red glow of his glass brain case was all I saw before it started firing at us. The roar of Carlotta's battle saddle helped me tense up and slip into sats, time slowing to a crawl as usual. I thought to open the inventory menu, watching as the interface flickered and died, being replaced with a simple form of a featureless, bright white pony. The form before me had no eyes, no mane, no tail, looking a lot like a simple dress mannequin as it walked around. Hey there, Backlash! So, this is what the inside of your head looks like. The sound came from every direction at once. I knew the digitalized voice that the odd pony was using as well. It was the voice of both my largest ally and my greatest enemy. Was I looking at Pink? Yep, you guessed it. It's me, Pink. The blank-looking pony seemed to walk around the floor in front of me, appearing to walk up to the hostile Ponitron and look it over curiously. I wondered what she was doing. I mean, why was she keeping me from fighting? Oh, I'm just curious is all. Think of it as window shopping for a new body. Okay, that's just plain weird. Actually, it really wasn't. After the last 2 weeks, I'm not sure that the standard definition of weird still applied to anything in my life anymore. Regardless, having some computer being able to read your thoughts was kind of unsettling. Does it really bother you so much that I know what you're thinking about? Also, I'm offended after all that I've done for you. I'm still just some computer. I thought we were closer than that. Okay. I guess you did have a point. Pink wasn't just some spell matrix inside a terminal. She was a lot more than that. She was a highly intelligent, self-aware system that knew how to take over the Spritebot network and how to mess with my sats while I was in it. Oh, stop it. You flatter me. Wait, could Pink even be flattered? I hope she didn't take that the wrong way. Yes, I do feel emotions, just not the same way you do. And don't go worrying your little brain. I'm not going to fall in love with you. Besides, those interesting little thoughts your subconscious throws out every few seconds for you and that blue mare are too good for me to want to screw up your relationship. Damn it, Pink. Those are supposed to be private thoughts. I mean, I really do like Longbow, and it is true that she is quite beautiful, and I can't help but focus on her mare features. Oh, Celestia, why the hell did this have to be so embarrassing? Whoa, slow down, Backlash. Don't go having an aneurysm, at least not while I'm in here. I swear, you organics are really touchy beings. Anyway, I just wanted to pop up and say hello, since you've been ignoring me every other time I tried to get your attention. Since when was she trying to get my attention? My Pippa would have told me, except for I turned the volume down. Yeah, that was my bad. It's fine. Just remember that I'm here and we can talk if you need to. So, ta-ta for now. I'll let you get back to getting shot up. The white form of Pink fuzzed away before time started to crawl back to its normal pace again, getting about halfway before slowing and freezing up again. Pink appeared in the lower corner of my vision, peering up at the floor below me. One last thing, actually. Do you want me to do anything about the medical subroutines? Why would the medical subroutines need to be working on? Were they still not functioning correctly? Well, they keep insisting your physiology is all wrong and that your blood type is unrecognizable. Basically, they try to keep telling to me that you're all dead. You haven't gone and died, and you just didn't tell me, did you? Well, whatever. I'll just file the medical subroutines under Ask Longbow if she could take a look at it later. I trust that Pink could probably fix it. I just wanted a second opinion on how bad the encoding was. Okie dokie Loki. Don't forget to bring me a body next time you decide to visit. Time jumped forward again. The Ponatron's torso ripped in half with a shower of sparks as Carlotta's rounds punched into vital components. Brass threw his helmet on and galloped towards the door, throwing his shoulder under the smoldering husk to push it out of the doorway. He turned as his two miniguns spun up, letting out short bursts of rounds that were punctuated by another small pop and fizzle down the hallway. Come on, we have to... He was cut off when a rocket slammed into the doorway, exploding with a deafening crack that knocked me off my hooves. I regained my senses only after a moment and looked out of the door, spotting Brass on the floor and his body in armor patching itself up. Oh, you want to do this the hard way? Then we'll do this the hard way! Brass's helmet boomed as he got up. Longbow galloped to the door as the two miniguns in Brass's sides purred, sending streams of fire down the hallway. Backlash, stay with Will-O-Wisp, Sky said as Carlotta and her headed for the door, closing it behind me. I listened through the walls as gunfire permeated the hallways, cursing myself for not being able to help. My ears perked out as I heard Carlotta scream out, followed with an expletive before her battle saddles fired until it was empty. What's going on? What do you want from me? Willow asked softly from the floor. I reached over to try and comfort her, pulling my hoof back as it went through her body freely. Her eyes went wide before her tears started to stream from them. Why did you make me a monster? She cried out as she got to her hooves, running past me straight for the wall. I tried to call out, but stopped myself as she passed right through it, disappearing to the other side completely. So I sat there, alone and useless inside the enclosed room as my friends did the heavy lifting outside. Why don't you go after her, Backlash? Oh yeah, 'cause then you'd get shot. I muttered to myself, wishing that I had brought something I could actually use to fight with. Well, at least we only have two more levels after this one. Ugh. Level up. +7 speech, +8 repair. New quest perk. Stubborn diplomat. Even in the face of overwhelming odds, you keep your cool and can talk your way out of even the tensest of situations. Extra dialogue options are available when speaking to a faction that you have a negative standing with. New perk. Inspiring martyr. Your friends and you are nay inseparable, fighting just as much harder to win when you've been injured. Your allies gain small bonuses to damage and critical hit chance when you are under less than half health, and or under the effects of 3 or more negative status effects.